February 9th. Dear Sal, yesterday, while I was hiding from all this damn California sunshine, I dug out our old marriage certificate. I thought I'd have it bronzed and sent to you for your birthday. Then I saw your birthday on it. Welcome to your 50s, baby. Love, Jake.
Thursday the 12th. Dear Jake, you son of a bitch. I will not be anywhere remotely near 50. I will be 46. And I ought to know. After all, I've been 46 several times now. So I don't give a rat's ass what the marriage certificate says. Incidentally, my darling, what are you doing holding on to that old thing? We had it revoked years ago, you know. And I still love you as always. Nicole Kidman told me she had lunch with you the other day with the new missus, and she says she's quite a knockout, despite the teensy cross-eyedness. Is that a word? Excuse the bitchiness, but ex-wives are allowed, especially when ex-husbands marry girls young enough to be my sister, you rat. Heidi? Is that really her name? Does she wear braids? Is she good at milking goats? I love you a lot. You groom you. Your gal Sal. Oh, P.S. Belle says, congratulations on the wedding and better luck this time.
Sal, listen, at midnight, go into the bathroom, lock the door, turn on all the faucets full blast, and wish yourself a secret happy birthday from me. Then look in the stall shower. A little present from your secretary. Happy 46th. Now there's a real present. Belle.
February 17th. Dear Miss Ross, I couldn't possibly let your birthday go by without wishing you an Oscar, Tony, Emmy-winning day. You are the greatest star in the firmament, and your birthday should be a national holiday with schools let out and cheering in the streets. Your greatest fan, Douglas Breen, 780 West 71st Street, New York City.
Monday the 26th. Dear Jake. Oh, Jake, darling, what a day. I wouldn't let up on Belle until I made her cry. Why does she put up with me? Why doesn't she get a job in the nut house where people are easier to get along with? What a pair we are. Having spat my venom at Belle, I went over to the Algonquin to meet Gideon Riggs, the choreographer of my new show. So I bid him. Just a little lunch to get acquainted. Nothing could possibly go wrong, right? After an hour or two of playing with my shrimp, I realized that my attitude as well as my disposition was ruined. Or rather, two shrimps. Mr. Riggs, it turns out, is all of 1 foot tall, give or take an inch. I'm sure they found him under a toadstool. I'm to do an entire number comprised of, are you sitting? Cartwheels and splits.
And splits. Huh, you heard correctly. Me, cartwheels and splits. I explained to the munchkin that I don't do cartwheels and only stock split these days. And he explained to me that there was nothing to it. Inside of 2 days, he'd have me looking like an Olympic gymnast. Ha! Think of it, Jake. Me on a freaking balance beam. I love you, but it sure doesn't solve my problems. Your gal, Sal.
March 1st. Dear Sally, something really awful happened. I was late for work the other morning and had to dash. Well, to make an endless story short, I forgot to unplug my toaster, which is the old-fashioned kind, and I had a small fire. Now there's nothing to worry about. Luckily, only a few odds and ends were ruined, but alas and alack, the autograph photo that you sent me was among them. So here I sit among the charred ruins with a broken heart. Oh, I know how expensive those glossies are, but I'd give my eye teeth for a replacement. Is there any chance? I'll gladly reimburse you for the cost. Your greatest fan, Douglas Breen, 780 West 71st Street, New York City.
Dear Sal, Knock it off. You're as gorgeous as you ever were, and you know it. So stop looking for compliments. Like the man says, you're not getting older, just better. And stop feeling sorry for yourself. You've got everything a woman could want, including all my love. Jake.
Dear Mr. Breen, Miss Ross wanted me to tell you how sorry she was about your fire. Luckily, nothing more important than her picture burned up. Enclosed, find another. Any member of Miss Ross's fan club is entitled to seconds. Belle Goldman, secretary to Miss Ross. March 8th. Dear Miss Goldman, I couldn't possibly allow your very snide letter to go unanswered. You may feel that because you have the good fortune to be Sally Ross's secretary, that allows you to be off-handed with people, but it certainly does not. Moreover, your reference to Sally's picture as unimportant is, I think, a breach of loyalty. Anyone as wonderful as Sally is entitled to only the purest devotion from her employees. Or would it be a fair turnabout to say servants? Douglas Breen, 780 West 71st Street, New York City.
Sal, you split the seam in the seat of your black pantsuit again. If you're looking for a snack tonight, try the vegetable crisper. I'm taking the little Debbie's home with me. We're beginning to spend a little too much money on needles and thread around here. Huh. Oh, and I took your advice and I didn't answer the creep. Belle. Belle. Ha ha ha. You forgot the Kit Kats in the pantry. Ha ha ha. Fatso.
March 20th. Dear Sally, just a note as to inquire whether you had that little talk with your secretary yet. Sally, I know what a loving person you are, but sometimes it is a mistake to be too soft with subordinates. They take dreadful advantage.
Have that little talk with your secretary. You owe it to yourself and to those who love you, as I do. Your greatest fan, Douglas Breen, 780 West 71st Street, New York City.
Dear Sal, good work. You found me. But I'm hiding in the back of the cupboard because I have 4 billion calories in me, and I'm for the guests Friday night, not for you. Belle says if you eat me, the next role you'll be offered is the lead in the life story of the Goodyear blimp. She says you should eat my friend, the carrot, or she'll break your thumbs. Your former friend, the giant Kit Kat bar.
Dear Sal, I've got a few minutes between conferences, and it was either take a walk around the lot now that we finally got a cloudy day, or write my favorite ex. You won. Everything is fine at home these days. Heidi's taking up gourmet cookery, and I think my ulcer is back in town. Love, Jake.
Dear Sally, you really must take time away from your busy schedule just to drop me a line. As always, Douglas, 780 West 71st Street, New York City.
Dear Belle, welcome to the refrigerator. I am a grapefruit. You may eat me. I am also the exact shape of your ass, so watch who you leave notes to. In case you haven't passed a mirror recently, you ain't no Audrey Hepburn yourself. The ghost of your former figure.
Friday the 28th. Darling Jake, are you or are you not drinking milk before meals like you're supposed to? I finally convinced Riggs that cartwheels and splits are inappropriate for a 102-year-old woman. So now I spin. That's right. I come out spinning like a top. God forbid I should just walk down stage like a normal person. What is that midget trying to do? Kill me? Oh, I ask you, Jake, do you want to see some old bag and feathers spin around like a demented parrot? Whatever happened to glamour? And are you sure Meryl Streep started this way? Your gal Sal. P.S. Milk.
Dear Sally, what an incorrigible correspondent you are. Just kidding, Sally, but ages have gone by since I asked for a letter from you. I read it in the post that your new musical, So I Bit Him, looks like a surefire hit. How could it not be with you as the lead? I would love to hear from you. Take a moment out for me. The one who adores you, Douglas, 780 West 71st Street, New York City.
Dear Mr. Breen, I'm sorry, but Miss Ross's schedule at the moment does not permit her to answer fan mail in person. I'm sure you understand that she is busy and cannot answer every fan letter personally. Belle Goldman, personal secretary to Sally Ross. April 7th. Dear Sally, again, the intervention of your secretary. Sally, clearly your little talk with her did no good, and a threat of dismissal would be more appropriate.
She flaunts me with snide references to fan clubs and fan letters. Yes, Sally, I'm certainly your greatest fan, but I'm much more than that. I am a friend, someone who will always be there for you in any way you want me. I mean that, Sally. I can be your closest friend, your confidant, and yes, if you so desire, even your lover. It has taken me a long time to say this, but it is true, Sally. And believe me, I have all the necessary equipment to make you happy, both in mind and body. More love than I can say. Douglas, 780 West 71st Street. Dear Mr. Breen, all right, enough's enough. I haven't bothered Miss Ross with your letters lately, but now you're getting out of hand. No one here is interested in your equipment, and the postal authorities frown on that kind of offer going through the mail. So just suppose you quit writing. Belle Goldman.
April 13th. Dear Sal, I took a poll at the commissary over lunch. Tom Hanks, Dustin Hoffman, and Judi Dench all voted yes. They would love to see you spinning around in feathers. So be a good girl and do what you're told. Love, Jake.
Sally, things are worse than I feared. I don't mean to frighten you, but you must be armed with the truth so that you will know what you're up against. I decided not to mail my last letter, but bring it to the theater personally on my lunch hour to make absolutely sure it did not go astray, as I fear so many of my letters to you have in the past. I went to the stage entrance and let myself in. A woman, middle-aged, in a suit of nondescript and unfashionable style, came to the stage door behind me and curtly brushed me by. She went up to the man seated at the desk, and they chatted for a moment. He addressed her as Belle. I watched and listened. And then it happened, Sally. He handed her mail intended for your eyes alone. Do you understand the full implications of that? Whatever her plan of action against you, she is not alone. I left the theater quickly, shaken to the core. Sally, my dear, I dare not send my letters to you lest they find out the extent of our knowledge of these nefarious activities. But Sally, I will continue to write. I will not forsake you. Somehow you must know that my thoughts continue to wend your way. Although for a moment I must keep these letters in trust for you. Trust me. I will be near. Douglas.
Sunday the 18th. Angel Jake. Darling, I need advice. I considered Dear Abby, but then I remembered where you are. Sitting behind your desk at the Continental with nothing better to do than to listen to the problems of your own Auntie Mame. So here goes. I'll make a scenario of it, so you'll feel right at home. Fade in. Gorgeous star.
Early 40s. Listen, it's my scenario. Gorgeous star sneaks out of a simply horrendous rehearsal with Grumpy the Wonder choreographer. Close up of the absolute radiant but tired actress sitting in the coffee shop over a little bouillon, staring out the window, wondering why she who has everything should feel, well, somewhat less than ecstatic about her life. Camera pans from the ravishing actress to the back booth. Close-up of absolutely handsome young man giving actress the sweetest smile you ever saw. Oh, Jake, talk about your blue eyes. Medium shot. Breathtaking young man and stunning, slightly older woman are sitting at the same table, chatting amicably. Gorgeous young man, so interested in, so sensitive to, and so sympathetic with stunning, ever so slightly older woman. It could break your heart. What's happening to me, Jake? I was never the kind to have entanglements with young men, was I? But now I find myself thinking about him through rehearsal, just waiting to get back to that greasy spoon and bathe in those eyes. There's something strange about him. I know nothing about him, really. Who has a chance to talk with me around? But he smiles as if he has a secret. A beautiful, wonderful secret.
Dear Sally,
I told him I would see him there tomorrow.
I have begun.
Should I?
Soon, my darling, all will be revealed to you, and then you will know.
Oh, please say yes, Jake.
That you are not alone and at the mercy of foes.
And be just a little bit jealous, darling, for my sake. Love, your gal Sal.
You have me, Sally, and all is in capable hands. Know only that you are safe, and I am with you. Closer than you think. Douglas.
April 20th. Dear Sal, of course see him. If he makes you happy, I don't care if he's 14 and wears Clearasil. And what do you mean a little jealous? I know I'm not allowed to say this, but I'm a lot jealous. Happy now? Love, Jake.
Dear Jake, I thought I would drop you a note since you know who was listening in on the little bit of conversation we had when you were called the other day. Things around here have been moving at a swift pace. You asked about Sal's little friend. Well, he's a total schmuck. The other morning, he comes into the kitchen when I'm making Sal coffee, and he starts in. A touch of cinnamon in the coffee, like in Paris. Just a suggestion, mind you. Maybe a little shredded chocolat, like in Switzerland. Or what about anisette? For crying out loud, I'm trying to get the goddamn water to boil, open the mail, and get her out in time, and Donny Osmond is giving the cooks tour. Lately, Sal has been some sweet pain in the ass, too. Much as I love her, I think maybe I ought to take an early vacation this year and get her and Loverboy alone to decide what kind of coffee they want. Why couldn't she pick out a nice guy her own age? Someone with a head on his shoulders and a job that would get him out of here early. Speaking of which, she gives him money. I know I shouldn't tell you, but it burns me up so that I can't keep my trap shut. Also, he goes through her papers. I caught him. He said it was all so interesting he couldn't resist. Goddamn little snoop. What's he looking for? Loose change? I tell you, Jake, I hope I never get to the point where all I want out of life is a man. We miss you here a lot. You're the only sanity Sal ever had. Besides me. Love, Belle.
Dear Jake, the last 2 days have been, how shall I put it? Armageddon. Belle has taken the most infuriating dislike to the young man, David. She says he's rude to her. But when I ask how, Belle says it's not what he says, it's the way he says it. Oh, Jake, why is life never so simple? Why can't Prince Charming come in the right size and shape and age? And why did we ever divorce? Whatever I said, I take it back. Now that's done. Your marriage to Heidi is revoked. You are to get on the next plane and get back here. Oh, enough. I'll have myself in tears soon, and everybody knows that armored truck tanks do not cry. Your gal Sal.
Dear Sally, I dare not send this letter to your home in case she gets her hands on it. Instead, I will send it to the theater. I will not sign my name nor my address, just to be on the safe side. You know where you can reach me. The same address you sent your photograph to.
Dear Jake, thank you, darling, for sitting up half the night with me on the phone. I was so worried about Belle and the attack. You're always there for me when I need you, aren't you? I love you for it. I hope Heidi understood.
Dear Sally, now you know. And any thoughts you may have had about my sincerity, any doubts as to my ability to protect you must now be gone, washed away by my tidal wave of love.
Sal, there's no one I would rather sit up half the night with than you.
I saw Belle this afternoon for a few minutes. Jake. Half her face is wrapped in a bandage and she's so pale. She's being fed intravenously and there's a tube in her nose. And when I first saw her, I cried. My poor darling Belle. But then as I sat there, she started to smile. She even called me names when I did cry. There was never anyone like her. How are you? What have I ever done to deserve both of you? All my love.
I just wish it could have been an all-night conversation for laughs. And not because of what happened to poor Belle. Give her all my love, will you? And stop wondering what you've done to deserve us. It's simple. You've loved us. Always here for you, Jake.
It was all so delightfully simple. Those purveyors of popular entertainments would have one believe that a violent act is ugly and brutal. Such is simply not the case. It is beautiful, almost balletic, and it has a sensuousness of its own, not unlike the act of love. It was around 5 o'clock when that woman rounded the corner and went into your building, laden with packages. I returned to my bench and my vigil. I did not have to wait long. Several minutes after 6, she came out and turned east at the corner. I followed at a safe distance. On Lexington Avenue, she went into the subway. I did likewise. The train came. I entered the same car at the opposite end. I stood with my back toward the woman lest she see me, but in the reflection from the door where I stood, I could see her. She sat dozing, her head occasionally nodding. For a brief moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the peril she placed you in, and all sorrow vanished. The train pulled out of Cortana Park, and the woman shook off her drowsiness and got up. She stood by the door at one end of the car, and I waited at the other. At the next station, she got out, as did I. With the knife in my jacket pocket, my hand held tight around it, I followed. Several others got off the train too, but Sally, heaven was still on our side. The woman chose to exit by means of a staircase at the far end of the platform. Alone, I hurried along behind her.
Dear Jake, thank you for what you said on the phone this morning. But you were wrong. I am responsible for what happened to Belle. I can't bear it, but it's true. I'm so lucky to have her, and I brought her such pain.
I called her name, and as she turned, the knife sliced through the air and into her face. And again, it was as if it were happening in slow motion. The upraised knife slowly descending, her body lurching forward and falling through the air, a ballet of right against wrong. When it was over, the calm and peace that follows an act of love descended on me. I went up into the street and walked for blocks and blocks. I knew I had experienced an act of love such as few men have ever known. And all for you, my dearest. I will be there soon, Sally. Douglas.
To the entire cast and crew of So I Bit Him. Due to illness, Sally Ross will be unable to attend rehearsals for the next 4 or 5 days. The new opening for previews is May 19th. Check the revised rehearsal schedule for your calls.
Dear Sally, still no reply from you. What am I to think? Surely my Sally would not let so many days go by without a word to her own true love if there was not a good reason.
Dear Sal, I'm writing you this letter because every time I try to say it on the phone, you stop.
Surely my Sally would not be guilty of that kind of callousness. Terrible thoughts have crept into my mind, and I am desperately ashamed to admit them. Doubts about you, my love, my star.
Let me come to you, Sal. I know you don't need me, but I don't want you to go through this thing alone. If the police can't make you feel safe, I will. I know I can make you smile that famous smile. I always could. Now I've said it without interruption. Love, Jake.
A word, Sally, is all that I ask. No, I do not ask it. I demand it. Douglas.
Jake, when I opened those letters and read that filth, I started to scream at him as if he could hear me. Oh my God, Jake, I should have known. Belle told me about his letters. She made a joke of it. Even called him my little crackpot. I never even looked at the letters. Now they've long since been thrown away, and all we know is his first name. Douglas. Belle has tried and tried to remember his last name, but she can't. No, don't come. I'm fine. Really. No more hysterics. No more pounding my chest. No more acting like a jackass. I'm not allowed to open any of my mail anymore until my detective Stan has seen it. So I'm much calmer.
Jake, thanks for the flowers and kind words. I am off the respirator and well on my way to be my old annoying self. After rehearsal, Sal and Stan, her obedient detective, came to see me. And that is the first real life I've had in a long time. I'm going crazy in this hospital. I'm threatening to flash everyone up and down the halls unless they let me out of here soon. I miss you, you big lug. And I know the diva wishes you were closer, even though she is doing a Tony-winning job of playing the role of tough old broad. Kisses, Belle. P.S. Ask Sal about her boy toy, David. He's been suspiciously missing, and she won't give me any information.
Dear Sally, I cannot endure this waiting, this uncertainty, this torture. Sally, the doubts that assail me at every turn, and still no answer from you. If I do not hear from you, what recourse can I have but to think that you have been using me all the while to rid yourself of those you wished gone, with no real concern for my well-being?
Dear Jake, well, your gal Sal is back again, and it's glorious to be back in the harness. And as it seems, everyone worked miracles on the show in my absence. Maybe that's what they needed all along. Last night you asked about David, and I hedged. Oh, it was too embarrassing to tell you on the phone. David, it turns out, is not precisely 30 years old. He's not even, God help me, of drinking age. David is 20 years old. 20! And not only is David just this side of puberty, he still goes to school. He's a history scholar and had to go back to Paris for the summer session. I am the portion of the horse that passes through the stable last. And if you write Belle, don't mention anything about David. I don't want her to know anything yet. She'd open up her stitches yelling at me. Your gal, Sal.
Dear Sally, after a sleepless night of tossing and turning, soul-searching and recriminations, I am now forced to send you this, my ultimatum. If I do not hear from you within 24 hours, I wash my hands of you. There is a limit even in love. One more day, Sally. That's all you have. Douglas.
Dear Sal. Okay, that's it.
Sally, you have lost.
I'll be in New York on the 29th. Soon as I tie up some loose ends here. I don't want to hear another word about it.
I warned you that I would wait no more than one day, and yet you did not answer me.
Don't deny me the chance to act the big hero, will you? Even Heidi thinks I should go. Love, Jake.
Douglas.
Dear Jake, let me try to explain to you calmly and rationally why I don't want you here. First, your place is with Heidi. And second, I am not alone. I have policemen constantly underfoot. Stan is practically here all the time, and Belle and my friends, and rehearsals, and performances, and too much to do to put up with you, my darling. So stay put. Your gal, Sal.
I don't know whether to let life catch up with you or whether to take it in my own capable hands. You must be taught a lesson. Of that there can be no doubt. As you doubtlessly know, I am very good at teaching lessons to persons whose nature is arrogant and self-centered. If you don't believe me, ask Belle Goldman. She will tell you something of how I deal with those who would hurt me. Douglas.
Dear Belle, Sal tells me you are practically your old self again. Thank God. I don't know what Sally would do without you and your level head to keep her on keel. Don't let her get to you, as if that's remotely possible. Now be honest. Do I need to come there? Would she feel better if I was round, or would I just complicate things more? I trust your opinion. Say the word and I will be on the next plane. Jake.
Dear Jake, well, the next time you see me, if I look like someone's great-grandmother, don't be surprised. I just had 10 years added to my age from sheer fright. A few days ago, Stan told me not to leave the apartment without him. That didn't set too well, I can tell you. Well, this morning, I was sitting around waiting for Stan to get here, and the worst thing happened. I ran out of cigarettes. Now, Jake, you know my powers of self-control. So moron that I am, I thought I would take a quick trot around the corner, pick up my pack. So I disregarded the warnings of both Stan and the Surgeon General and left my apartment alone. After all, it was broad daylight and I wasn't going into the subway and the street was full of people. Well, darling, I got what was coming to me. As I came out of the grocery store, puffing away and thinking of how brave I am, I saw him. A young man standing at the corner and pretending not to look at me. I clutched, and then I remembered lots of people stare at me. I'm a goddamn celebrity, right? So I puffed my way to the corner and turned west. Jake, he turned too. And by the time I rounded the corner on 5th, I was practically in tears. And thank God the first sight I saw was Stan just going into the house. And I ran to him, shrieking that the man was following me. Well, it turns out that the young man who was following me was a plainclothes policeman. It seems I've been watched by the police for days now. We'll talk about your relief, embarrassment. You're almost breaking down and crying on the street. And then talk about your lectures. I never saw that side of Stan before. And needless to say, I am giving up smoking. I'm going to eat instead and get so fat that no one, no matter how deranged they are, will ever want my picture again. All right. I've used your shoulder enough for one day. And I'm hideously late for rehearsal. Stan says he's going to carry me there in his pocket. Oh, that he could love from the never so slightly shaking ex-tobacco addict.
Dear Sally. Sally, a word of warning from a friend. Gossip has it that a certain gift has been sent to you. Open all packages carefully, if you know what I mean. I surely wouldn't want anything to happen to you, now would I? A former friend.
Jake, she isn't driving me any more crazy than she usually does when a show is opening, and you know I have the magic touch in finding ways to calm her down. As for coming here, Stan has arranged for 24-hour surveillance on the theater and the house, and there's a police officer who is annoyingly at my side every minute of the day. I don't think you could help, and you don't really want to get caught up in the middle of this. She will be fine. We will all be fine. If the police protection doesn't scare this wacko off, Sal's extra large ass squeezed into her jeans should. What a time for her to quit smoking. Thanks for caring. I know Sal could not have gotten this far without you to support her. Belle.
Dear bitch, I just realized the simply awful faux pas that I unwittingly committed. I didn't get you an opening night present. Now, what to get you? They're doing such wonderful things with guns these days, or perhaps poison. Fire is a lovely gift. Also, knives are always in good taste, but oh, so messy, don't you think? I have it. Just the thing. Gorgeous. By the time you receive this letter, you will already have received my special gift. I hope you like it. A former friend.
Oh, Jake. It's all so loathsome, so degenerate. I don't know if I can hold out until it's over. But of course you don't know what I'm talking about. I tried to call you, but was told you were away for the weekend. I went to the theater yesterday afternoon for the matinee, and then when I went into my dressing room, oh God, it's so awful. Someone had defecated and urinated all over the place. Not someone. Him. Jake, the police have been lying to me all this time. His letters haven't been filled with love at all. Hell was only his first victim. And now he's after me. Stan says this is exactly what they want, that I'm constantly watched, and if he gets near me, they'll catch him. But why didn't they catch him yesterday in my dressing room? It's almost like he's an animal. And if only we knew where he was. He still thinks I do. Oh, Jake, I'm frightened. I'm truly frightened.
I truly am sorry to have killed your little detective, but he left me no choice. He was always with you, you see, and I had to show you that nothing can stop me. Why are they keeping it out of the papers? I mean, I suppose they have their reasons, Sally. It was so simple. I merely waited on this low rooftop outside your apartment and awaited him. Simple, simple, simple. It will, of course, be just as simple to kill you.
Dear Jake.
Soon, Sally.
Sal is in terrible shape.
Soon.
I don't understand what's happening to her.
Douglas.
I know this is no picnic, but she's folding up like I've never seen her before. My poor baby, she's taking so many pills. I told her to lay off that stuff, but she says she can't sleep. She also refuses to postpone that stinking show, even though the producer said he was willing. She keeps talking crap about always letting people down, and that's why all this is happening. She won't listen to reason. She looks like hell. It's breaking my heart. All right, now I'm so upset. It's enough for one day. All my love to you and to Heidi. Belle.
Your greatness. Now, how shall we arrange it? You don't take the subway and you have more policemen surrounding you than ever. I will find a way. You know I will. A former friend.
Dear Jake, everyone close to me is in peril. First Belle, now Stan. How could he shoot him in the front of the hotel in broad daylight and still get away? He's not human, Jake. He couldn't be. Stan could have lost his life. And thank God the bullet only hit his right leg. I mean, it's messed up pretty bad, but with time and therapy, they say he should be fine. I'm not allowed to leave the apartment now for rehearsals or anything. My life has been taken over. I'm going to die, Jake. So terribly unfair. God, I wish I could see you once more. They won't let you come. Don't even try. I want to sleep. I'll write you every day until it's over. Sal.
Dear Sally, I see in today's paper that Bernadette Peters is playing your role in the previews of So I Bid Him. Why? Are you too frightened to pursue your own all-important career?
I've never been any good at putting words together to express how I really feel. But now I've got to try. Sal, I'm afraid for you. Not because of this guy, but because it sounds like you're giving up on yourself. That's not the Sally Ross I know and love. I wish to God I knew what to do, but I don't. Please don't give up. For me, you know I love you, and I always have. Jake.
Dearest Sally, I have been wrong. Please call me. You know my address. I can't give out my phone number lest they read it in the letter, but you can look it up. Despite everything I've done and said, I still love you, Sally. You know I do. I won't harm you. I never would have. Do not be afraid. I will not implicate you in either attack. The fact that you have not told the police where to find me leads me to think that you do care for me, for surely it cannot be only fear that keeps you silent. I must be wrong. I'm nothing without you in my life, Sally. If you don't forgive me, I don't know what I'll do. Douglas.
Dearest Jake, I've come to a conclusion. The world is not meant for forevers. Just to have seen it, to experience the incredible grandeur of the world for even a brief moment is enough. I've come to understand so many things these past few days.
And they've made me contented. I love you, Jake. I've always loved you. I always will love you. You, Belle, the world! What a rich life I've had. And if it's over, well, then it's over. If he kills me today, know that my last thoughts were of you.
Dear Sally, by the time you read this letter, I will be dead. I will die willingly for the torment I have caused you. I die happily because my death proves that I loved you as few men have ever loved before. I beg your forgiveness for all that I have done to cause you pain. Goodbye, my Sally, my dearest, my love, your biggest fan.
Dear Jake, I still can't believe it's over and that he's dead instead of me. Oh, Jake, I will get another chance, won't I? Oh, I'm so tired, darling. So bitterly tired. Belle's with me now. I love you both so much. Sal, can I still be your gal after all of this?
Dear Jake, when we found out that he had killed himself, I never in my life knew what relief was until that moment. What a way to kill oneself. He poured gasoline all over himself and lit a match. And the letter he left Sal, all I can say is thank God it's over. My poor Sal, what she's been through. When we told her he was dead, she just looked at us. First Stan, and then at me. And then she started to cry. Softly at first, like a baby, like a newborn. I held her in my arms and she cried like that. To tell you the truth, so did I. Yeah, the two old bags sat crying like babies, and Stan stood there beaming like a moron. I like that one. He's my date for opening night, you know. Don't get excited. He's married. They say the show is in pretty good shape now, and she ought to be able to take over in a week. So opening's been set for the week after next. She'll do it. Whatever happens to her, it's over now, and she's coming around. She slept for like 24 hours straight, no pills. I watched her sleeping like a baby, I swear. Look, you know who just came in the door, fresh from her bath with a little Debbie snack cake in her hand. Hold on, I gotta go smack her. Love, Belle.
To the cast and crew of So I Bit Him. Following the opening night performance, Miss Sally Ross will be hosting a celebration at her apartment, 941 Fifth Avenue.
Dear Jake, well, the opening is finally here! An hour and a half away. I can't believe how well previews have gone. And that ending, they actually love it. God, I love you so much. And it's so wonderful to be normal again. Oh, I'm still ashamed of how I behaved, but I am so gloriously happy. Bella's screaming that we've got to go. I'll finish this letter after the opening night party, and that's a promise. Have I mentioned that I love you?
Dear Sally, you will never read this letter, my darling. I am writing it for the world so that they will know that a love such as ours existed. No, my darling, I'm far from dead. That charred body was not mine. It was the sacrificial lamb. I regretted having to end his life, but what else could I do? How else could I assure those around you that there was no further need for them? How else could I assure that your return to the show? For both were necessary. I shall not mail this letter. It will be found in my jacket pocket after you and I share the most intimate of love acts. Death. I shall be sitting in the first row at your opening night. The gun I will carry will unite us for all eternity. You will die as you have lived, in the glory and glow of the spotlight. And I shall die in the reflection of that glow. It is mere hours away from now, Sally. Mere hours. For no one and nothing can part us ever again. This is the same love that befell Romeo and Juliet. Like them, we shall live on in the hearts and minds of men for all time. Douglas.
Okay. Sal, by the time you get this letter, I'll be somewhere over the Grand Canyon facing east. Look for me after your show Friday night. Heidi and I decided to call it quits. I got so much to say to you. I couldn't even start on the phone because I would have broken down and cried, which is why this letter. I do so love you. Truly. Look for me Friday night. Jake.